New Orleans Pelicans, 11th seed, went 31-41 last season. They added Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jonas Valanciunas, Satoransky, Garrett Temple, Devontae Graham, and lost Steven Adams, Lonzo Bledsoe, James Johnson, and Iwundu. This is a team that many people have labeled as a sleeper team in the West to make it to the playoffs. Zion Williamson taking that next step along with Brandon Ingram. They got a new coach in Willie Green. But what are your expectations for the Pelicans this season? How good will they be? Where will they finish? What's their floor? What do you think?
This is probably one of the most confusing teams in the West for me because they have the talent to make the playoffs. I just don't know if they'll put it all together on the court. You know, this is what, year 3 or year 2 where they've had talent to make the playoffs, and they just haven't gotten it going. They have been one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They've been at the bottom of the league in terms of spacing. You know, Zion, he's putting up phenomenal numbers, but it hasn't been translating to W's or making the playoffs. So this year, new coach, new energy, new players. You lost Lonzo. Zion wanted to keep Lonzo. You bring in Devontae Graham. Okay, scoring guard. You had a good draft. I think Trey Murphy was perfect for this team, a guy who can space the floor and guard perimeter players and wings. So I think that's great. Valanciunas, I think he's a upgrade for Steven Adams, but it doesn't, you know, Zion still needs that spacing. They're going to clog the paint. But nonetheless, it's still Valanciunas is a good player. Yeah. They're going to make it work. Brandon Ingram is still there. And then you got a bench of hopefully guys who can make that next step. You know, Nico Alexander-Walker, SGA's cousin, you know, who's a good player. He has some good skill to him, just has to take that next leap. Jackson Hayes with a lot of potential. He also has to take next leap. Josh Hart, who's a good player, but we kind of already know what he is at this point. But, you know, still
Marshall.
Got to wait and see on that one. He hasn't played enough. You know what I'm saying? Got to wait and see on that one.
Garrett Temple?
What?
He's on the team.
Oh, my God.
What about Kara Lewis?
Willie
Hernan Gomez?
Young guy. He's trash. Hernan Gomez.
Now, Hernan Gomez is not bad.
No, he's trash. He played for the Knicks. He's trash.
Well, he played for the Knicks. I just want to let you guys know, Julius Randle just hit a game winner against the Wizards.
In the preseason?
We're 4-0. I told you it was going to be the third seed, bro.
It doesn't matter. In like 2 weeks, it literally goes to blank.
I told you.
Ceiling, this team can be an 8th seed. I think this team can be as high as an 8th, 7th seed. Floor, right back where it is, you know, not making the playoffs. And I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I still think they have a lot to figure out. But the ceiling for me, they can definitely be an 8th or 7th seed because they have Zion, they have BI, they have the talent. And a new coach, we still have to wait and see. You know, this is his first year. But he's put in a good situation because they have talent. That front office still needs work. But ceiling, 8th seed, floor, lottery.
This team's definitely weird, like you said, dude. I mean, with Zion, the news breaking yesterday that he had off-season foot surgery. He's out indefinitely now. He's gonna be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which basically means he's gonna miss the start of the season.
Really?
But yeah, he is, man. It's crazy. He probably, if I had to guess, would probably be out around a month. But that's just not how you want to start a season, obviously, with a team that obviously is built around Zion. Obviously, you have pieces like Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas is now coming in. I think that you would have wanted the maximum amount of games played together to build that team chemistry. Now, without Lonzo Ball, you would expect this offense to not be as, I don't want to say the word stiff, but as primarily focused on getting everyone the ball. Now it's really Zion's going to be trying to facilitate the offense primarily. Then you have Brandon Ingram, who's going to obviously handle the ball and get his bucket the way that he normally gets his bucket. But now that Zion's out, now we're going to see this first month of basketball with Jonas and Brandon Ingram. Now, I have my doubts about Brandon Ingram in terms not of his play, obviously, but in terms of him impacting the game to win. From what we've seen in the Pelicans, he really hasn't been much of a winner. You gave him Zion Williamson. Of course, Zion is still young, but it's not like they've even been close to sniffing the playoffs, truthfully. And Brandon Ingram definitely has gotten better over these last couple of years for sure. But again, what has it really done in impacting the win column? Defensively, this team is not the best, truthfully. Offensively, outside of Brandon Ingram, outside of Zion, I don't love the offensive firepower here. I do like the pickup of Devontae Graham. He was a solid player for Charlotte. Solid is like the best word I could use for him because he's a decent shooter, decent defender. He just isn't that
doesn't move
top
the needle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me out there. But I do like the Jonas addition, especially because Steven Adams really clog the paint up and really that limited Zion's ability to drive or do anything kind of creative to get into the paint. But now you get Valanciunas that could stretch the floor out a bit. It allows Zion to get into the paint with a little bit more ease. It's just a matter of when Zion's going to get back out there. And I do have my concerns with this team overall. I don't know what to expect from this head coach. So I feel like my ceiling for them is pretty similar to Rivs. I feel like I'm going to be a little bit more stingy, though. I feel like the ceiling for them is probably the ninth seed. They're just not there yet. And there's just a lot of teams in the Western Conference fighting for that play-in spot. The Western Conference play-in really is a decent group of teams there. And I don't think the Pelicans are with those guys. I think their floor is about where they were basically at last season. I believe they were the 12th seed last season. I would say they're probably around the 12th, 13.
11th.
They were 11th last season. So I feel like their floor probably still is around 12, 13. If they finished around the 11th, I wouldn't be surprised either. But it's just it's a weird piece team together that needs Zion, obviously. And if Zion's already missing time, that's not a great indication.
I was very high on the moves this team made in the offseason. But after reevaluating what's happened recently, with Zion having surgery on his foot, with Zion showing up overweight, not looking in shape.
Nah, I was gathering.
And Zion's injury is caused by it's not anything to be too weary of. It's just he trained so hard in the offseason that a lot of stress was on that foot, and he got hurt because of it. If Zion doesn't play much time in the regular season, I don't see the Pelicans being a good team. I don't see the Pelicans being in the playoffs. And my assessment on the Pelicans earlier in the offseason was on the basis that Zion is playing the entire season. And that is not going to happen. And because of that...
Even then, that was still a stretch.
And because of that, I don't think they'll be in the playoffs. How big of a problem is Zion's weight? That is still to be determined. How good will Willie Green be? I'm not sure. I like these pieces, but Zion is the guy that makes it all go. He's the apple to the pie, and without him, you don't have applesauce. So you can't have him. Their ceiling is a play-in. Their floor is a 12 seed to me if Zion misses extended time.
Just to piggyback off what Andrew said, I actually didn't know that he was going to miss probably the first month of the season. So that right there already raises some red flags, you know what I mean? Like, you're not having your best player on the court, you're bound to lose games. So I'm pretty sure we're all around the thought process of them finishing anywhere from 9 to 12. So I want to ask you guys something. What's the possibility that they end up trading someone like Brandon Ingram because this pairing really isn't going to work? I don't think Devontae Graham and Jonas Valanciunas moved the needle enough for me to say, oh, yeah, this team's going to make the playoffs. And then on top of that, them missing their best player for probably the first month of the season, that's also not a good indicator as well. So, I mean, is there any possibility that you guys see that maybe Brandon Ingram could be on the trade block by the time free agency comes around? And what offers do you think you can get for somebody like him?
I think if you're moving BI, you must be moving Trey Murphy to the 3 and looking for a guard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the next.
I mean, that was their weakest position was probably the shooting guard position, right?
Guard.
Coach Riv.
Right?
Yeah, without Lonzo now, they need a point guard.
They need both.
I didn't like the signing of Devontae Graham either. I'd much rather have
with
Lonzo
BI,
Ball.
you can get another low end all-star.
Oh, for sure.
Like, do you feel that their games like mesh together? Mesh together?
They don't. Brandon Ingram and Zion's game don't work together.
That's what I'm saying. So
Zion Brandon Ingram is a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be let loose. Right now, he's being used as an Audi.
So
That's
I mean,
just
look.
not him.
So like the first month of the season, the first month of the season, like when Zion misses,
that came from RP3 the natural, bro.
I know.
What the hell?
I try to ignore it, but I know.
So like,
I know exactly where you got it from.
So like the first month of the season, we could see it like without Zion Williamson, somebody taking touches away from an ISO heavy player in Brandon Ingram. We could see his production and everything move forward. So then I think that's kind of a good indication that maybe this season could be a season that Brandon Ingram's playing to get traded, because like I said, everybody in the West that we named are just flat out better than the better than what the Pelicans are right now. And like I said, the addition of Devontae Graham, the addition of a new head coach who's not really experienced, the addition of Jonas Valanciunas, I mean, I think it's somewhat of an upgrade from Steven Adams offensively. But, I mean, like, just outside of it, this team doesn't scream a playoff team. This team doesn't even scream, honestly, a playing team. Like I said, I can see them falling anywhere from the 11 to 12 seed. So,
Here's the thing about the Zion and Ingram thing. I don't think their games mesh because I think
neither.
Ingram needs the ball in his hands, and I think right now, from what we've seen, the best way to maximize Zion's skill set is to have the ball in Zion's hands.
Yeah.
I think losing Lonzo Ball was huge.
Yeah, it is.
Devontae Graham was a good pickup, but Lonzo Ball had one of the highest plus minuses on the team. I think one of the highest second to Zion, and he was a huge piece to that team. I think David Griffin is a type of GM to make impulsive decisions.
Yeah.
Because of that, I don't think it's out of the realm to assume that Ingram does get traded because David Griffin is always making moves. I mean, look at this roster from last year. It's just a completely different roster. The moves this offseason for the Pelicans was about fixing the mistakes he made last year. That's really what it was about. And now that he has the mistakes fixed to an extent, I mean, how are these pieces going to fit? That's the real question. If Zion was healthy, I have no question about how they fit because Zion's going to make it work.
Yeah.
But with him missing extended time, the Pelicans won't be very good.
And they lost the playmaker. I mean, we could say what we want about Devontae Graham. He's nowhere near he's probably a better scorer. He's a more high-volume scorer. He shoots more shots than Lonzo Ball. But in terms of playmaking, I mean, right now, your starting five, your best playmaker really might be Zion Williamson, and that's your man that's going to be out for a month. So I don't like the direction.
I think he's a decent playmaker. Obviously,
but he's no Lonzo.
He's not, but at the same time, he's still a solid defender.
Even like what they say about Lonzo, they say in a half-court set, Lonzo's pretty average as a playmaker. I don't even think Devontae Graham's average as a playmaker in the half-court set. So
Graham
I think
is what, 5'11"?
Streaky shooter.
He's 6'1",
How many assists did he average?
5.4.
Like 5'11".
5.4. I mean, look,
because you think they're capping? Yeah.
I'm not.
Maybe adding.
I'm not. Big on
Impressed.
the Devontae Graham
which
signing.
is fair. I just feel like
I think
team got
offensively
better.
it makes them better, but
for sure.
defensively, I think it really lowers.
He's a high
the ceiling.
volume. I mean, he takes more threes than anything, even more threes than layups. So I mean, I don't know.